Well, not too many solar contractors do it the right way, and that's just a fact. There's thousands of solar companies out there, but like I said earlier, 95% of them will tell you to get the house built and then will show up afterwards. They just don't have the executional excellence to deploy multiple project mobilizations and run internal wiring and review the single line. And another part, really, I would say is a lot of other solar contractors, if you actually look behind the curtain, is nothing more than five people behind computers. They subcontract everything out. We actually have our own installers, and we've been doing this for 18. But I think solar companies that can say that we've been around for over 18 years doing our own work is probably less than 2 to 5%. Solar companies come and go all the time, sadly.
Welcome to the Blue Ocean Solutions podcast, where we dive into real conversations with business owners, innovators, and leaders reshaping the future of clean tech and the renewable energy sector. I'm Kreel Hutchinson, your host. Our guest today is Ji Song Youn, Director of New Homes at Infinium Solar, Roofing, and Electric, serving the San Jose and Bay Area. Today, we're going to talk about what it actually takes to build a solar company that outlasts market cycles. 18 years of survival in one of the most volatile corners of the clean energy, and how Ji Song is building a new homes channel that integrates solar before the walls go up. If you're a solar developer, an EPC contractor, home builder, or clean tech founder trying to stay standing while the industry consolidates, this one's for you. Ji Song has been through the shakeouts, watched companies fall around him, and kept building. Diversification, ethical selling, deep contractor relationships. This is what it all looks like when it counts. Welcome to the podcast, Ji Song.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Kreel. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have this conversation because actually what you do in creating this new channel makes so much more sense than doing it like in different ways, the after pieces. So I'm really, it's kind of makes sense that the industry is kind of caught up here. For people who don't know you and your work in your company, why don't you do a little introduction of who you are, your role in the company you work?
Yeah. Like Kreel said, I'm Ji Song. A lot of people just call me Jay, and I've been in the solar industry for about 12 years. So I wouldn't call me a veteran, but it's been a while. And I've been at multiple reputable solar companies in the Bay Area. And currently I'm at Infinium, and I was hired on here to build out the new construction side of things, primarily working with general contractors, architects, developers, companies of that nature. And it's my job to bring in those partnerships and really work on designs and quotes based on blueprints, the architectural set. We can help out with PG&E or Palo Alto Utilities or Silicon Valley Power utility interconnection paperwork, even service applications, single line diagrams. But yeah, that's essentially what I do here.
Great. How long have you been with the company? Because I know you recently moved over from somewhere else. So how is your experience going so far?
So far, so good. 6 months here, so definitely still new, especially when you're working with builders that deal with prolonged timelines. Because I think a lot of solar industry professionals can confirm that when you're dealing with homeowner on a house that's already built, it's, you get in touch with them, you have a consultation, either that being virtual or in person at their site, and then you get the quote over to them. And typically within, 2 to 4 weeks, they have a decision making process, all happening and being dialed in. But with new construction, we're dealing with a lot of jobs that are still in design phase. So homeowners still dealing with architect on what the house should look like, so it can take literally 6 to 18 months after we quote something before anything materializes from that work. So very different beast altogether.
Could you explain why would someone want to, and maybe it's like drawing the before and after picture, why would someone want to, integrate the conversation of solar in the design phase and in the building phase, rather than like kind of leaving it to the end and adding it on after. It might seem like, oh, it's less complicated if we just do it after, we'll just like attach it onto the building. So can you give us a little bit of breakdown? What does the before and after process look like for these two different ways to approach it?
Creel, that's a really good question. And I would say 95% of solar contractors out there, at least the ones I've seen, will typically tell the homeowner, get the house built, and then we'll show up to install the system or engage with you, or the homeowner. But, what I've learned over the years is that, well, number one, Bay Area, I mean, we're talking about one bedroom house going for $2.5 million. And then the homeowner typically bulldozes that house and build something new on top of it, spending anywhere from $5 to $20 million or even more, right? So when you're dealing with the marketplace like this, the last thing the homeowner wants, number one, is aesthetics being out of line. And what happens when the solar company comes in after the house is already built, they typically run external conduits, these metal pipes to connect the solar panel to the point of connection, which is typically the main service panel. And when you're spending millions of dollars building a new house, that's the last thing you want to see, number one. And talking about installation practices wise, remember when you build a new house, you have a brand new roof. And when a solar company comes in after the house has been built and they install all those roof penetrations to secure the solar panels to the structure of the house, you make dozens of penetrations, sometimes hundreds. And the roofer, the original roofer who put on that brand new roof, and nowadays it's, membrane or metal standing seam or synthetic shake material. These roofs are $250,000 easily. And the roofer might say, hey, you had the solar company come in, put in a bunch of holes and waterproof it. So I'm good, that voids my workmanship warranty. So, aesthetically and warranty wise, those are the two reasons why you kind of want to engage with a solar contractor while the design and installation of the house or the building of the house phase. But furthermore, I've seen this dozens of times. Solar systems have gotten a lot more complicated, Creel, with the advancement of net energy metering 3 and slash net billing tariff. I would say 90% plus of the systems have batteries attached to it. And when you have a battery system attached to it, you're dealing with backup loads. And typically most residential batteries have a 200 amp limitation in terms of how much loads it can back up. And a lot of modern houses in the Bay Area are dealing with 400 amp services or above. So somebody that knows what they're doing electrically, getting involved early on and kind of guiding the conversation with the electrician, the architect, and the general contractor in terms of how to consolidate the backup loads inside of one sub panel or multiple sub panels, and just kind of drawing out that single line diagram up front and running feasibility studies like compatibility of the proposed solar and battery system with the service rating of the main house. And another complexity nowadays is that ADUs require a separate meter. And when you have two separate meters on the same property for the main house and the ADU, you need two separate systems. So I've seen solar companies come in afterwards, a house is built, only to find out that the switchgear is not compatible with the proposed solar and battery system. And the electrician had to spend, over $100,000 replacing that switchgear. So all these reasons and more, I would say, are the reasons why homeowners should engage with the solar contractor during the construction phase of their homes.
But also imagine that the final product is so integrated, with this like smart home design and everything that needs to be done. So when you think about and you have all the pieces on the puzzle and you're building that from day one, the end product must be so much more integrated, beautiful, higher standard. What has the response been from, the people who are buying these homes and asking for those services from the contractor?
Well, the homeowners, I mean, to answer that question, the response on the end product from the client, which is homeowner, are always great because, they're not seeing exposed conduits. They know that, all the critical circuits they want backed up during an outage are backed up. The battery is in a location where they predetermined before the house was built, and it doesn't delay the overall construction project. But, you know, I just want to mention here that a lot of other companies don't do it this way because now we're talking about multiple project mobilizations. That's more money for the installation of the solar and battery system. And frankly, the kind of complexity for a salesperson that they're not used to for most of the industry.
I see. And so is that what you're been brought in to really do, is like link all those parts and make that process more smooth with the home design new channel that you have there?
Yeah, yeah. I was brought in to really grow this division. This company was dealing with general contractors before I showed up here, obviously, but just take it to the next level in terms of, the market share. And yeah,
Great. So what have you been up to the last 6 months? Let's tell our audience what growing the channel has looked like.
it's been a lot of hard work and, it's a different kind of work because, I have tremendous respect for guys that are on the roof in 100-degree weather in their sweaters, actually carrying a 50-pound panel on their back, climbing up and down the ladder. To me, they deserve just as much praise, compared to, the sales team I manage and what I do. But, I just kind of make phone calls, I drive around and reach out to general contractors and architects and, get them to onboard Infinium in their bidding process. And I've been able to get onboarded at, I would say, about 70 general contractors over the last several months or more. We have dozens and dozens of quotes out there, but again, these jobs have a very long sales cycle. Some we've landed right away because the house is luckily getting built right time at the right place. And I
Hmm.
reached out to the GC at the right time. But yeah, we've planted a lot of seeds and, you know, based on my experience, getting your quote in that early bidding process when the house hasn't even been built or the house is being designed, it really gets you, in that group of people that's going to execute that property in the end. So, yeah, a lot of seeds being planted and probably about a dozen big new construction projects that have come through our doors so far. But hoping that number will grow as these houses actually go through permitting and, start breaking grounds.
So as you onboard general contractors and build those relationships, those general contractors find, new customers that want to build a home, and they will introduce the concept of like fully integrating the solar design right from day one. Either the homeowner requests that, or the general contractor can bring that forward as like an add-on feature or, a key feature in the home. Is that generally what it looks like on those conversations?
That's actually really good question as well. No, so it varies on every project. So some project we don't talk to the homeowner at all. And frankly, some projects we never will. We sign an NDA, it's somebody that doesn't want to be exposed. They have a property manager or a personal assistant, and we deal with them directly. And then the homeowner in the background gives directions once they review our design. Sometimes we just deal with the general contractor directly because the homeowner has that a trust with the GC.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the architect that we're dealing with. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Great. So then what's your main method of finding GCs out there? How are you, how are you building your channel? Or is it, tell me, what's the magic juice?
it's a lot of cold calls and a lot of driving around with the gift basket and just really, I've been doing this for 12 years, so people kind of know my name. So when I find, GCs on Google, when I call them, they go, "Hey, Ji Song, where you been?" So, but those kind of connections have kind of I've exhausted. So lately, I've adopted ZoomInfo, so I can reach out to prospects that I've never dealt with before. And again, it's the same thing, really, just sending out cold emails, making cold phone calls, and showing up in person uninvited, and just trying to make something out of thin air. And yeah, it can be a daunting task sometimes.
I'm sure. So as you kind of move forward with growing out the channel there, What would you say are some of the major challenges or bottlenecks that you see experience either inside the company or in your administrative side or in the industry?
Well, so I'm sure you're going to touch on this later, but Infinium has, C10, C39, and C46 licenses, which means that we are a certified electrician. We can rope up the entire house, including low voltage and main service panels, sub panels, lights, HVAC, all that. And we can do solar and battery, and we can actually install roofs as well. So when I reach out to these GCs and architects, general contractors are typically a bunch of cowboys unless they've been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years and they have a big office with 50 people that show up at the office with 5 project managers and estimators and all that, right? And they're typically really creatures of habit. And when I show up and I say, hey, can I quote electrical and roofing, they go, no, I've been using the same electrician and roofer for 20 years. I would never do that. Or sometimes it's like my brother-in-law has a roofing company and he gets all my roof bids, right? So I would say really, Creel, the hardest part is just literally getting them to engage at all. Because most of the time, they're not going to respond to your email. And if you call them, first 3, 4, 5 times you call, they're going to say, I'm busy, stop calling me. And then sometimes even if you show up in person, they're not there. They're out in the field and you're talking to a receptionist. So yeah, that would be the hardest part, really.
What would be the number one reason GCs would want to go with you guys? Because, obviously they're set in their ways. They kind of got a process that they figured out. So you're introducing a new idea, a new concept. What is the major value add or why would they switch over to?
Yeah. Well, not too many solar contractors do it the right way. And that's just a fact. There's thousands of solar companies out there, but like I said earlier, 95% of them will tell you to get the house built and then will show up afterwards. They just don't have the executional excellence to deploy multiple project mobilizations and run internal wiring and review the single line. And another part, really, I would say is a lot of other solar contractors, if you actually look behind the curtain, is nothing more than 5 people behind computers. They subcontract everything out, literally.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have our own installers, and we've been doing this for 18 years. And don't quote me on this, but I think solar companies that can say that we've been around for over 18 years doing our own work is probably less than 2 to 5%. Solar companies come and go all the time, sadly.
Yes. So the real value proposition is your established success in the industry for so long that any other work that you do is going to be solid. But it may also add the value proposition for some general contractor who wants to kind of simplify maybe electric, roofing, and solar. Like instead of dealing with 3 different people, 3 different timelines, wow, if I brought on someone that could handle all of that, it starts to minimize their work. I would say there'd probably be an attractive for some contractors.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning the biggest point that I should have mentioned, but you're absolutely right. The finger pointing between the electrician, the roofer, and the solar contractor. I mean, that happens all the time, like literally.
Yeah.
If there's a leak, the roofer's going to say it's the solar penetrations. If certain loads like security system or garage door opener is not backed up after the installation of the house or solar and battery in the house construction, the electrician is going to blame the solar company. So having one contractor take care of all those 3 aspects with so many moving parts, you are absolutely correct.
For you moving forward, you're in a new position, so you've been hitting the ground running and you're, bringing on a bunch of GCs, building this channel. What does success look like, in the next 6 months?
So first off, I do want to mention also that Infinium does a commercial work as well.
Okay, good.
Commercial solar, battery, roofing, and electrical. We're just wrapping up roping up a church, and the commercial sales director Roger, he just sold a 7-figure project, and I just sold a small one. So, but as far as success goes, I think we're in a very volatile times. Krill, and I think you probably know that. I don't think I need to mention all the big names that went bankrupt over the last 5 months.
Yes. Yes.
Not Not to mention the little ones or medium-sized ones, especially around here. I think really is maintaining the revenue for this year and at the same time gaining market share because next year should be another kind of a boom like we experienced last year before the 30% tax credit went away because next year the prepaid lease programs that allow you to do homeowners to leverage anywhere from 25 to 35% discount on their solar and battery installation. That's going to be going away. So I think there will be a kind of resurgence of solar demand next year, but really gaining market share and staying alive and maintaining our revenue stream would be what success looks like for 2026, in my opinion.
Perfect. Since you've been in this position, you're kind of doing word of mouth and a lot of like physical stuff to grow this channel, which will have limitations, right? There's a ceiling to that. How do you see expanding the market share? What kind of marketing or what kind of strategies are you going to lean into to take a bigger bite out of that pie?
So I'm starting to learn that, so a few things, right? Really just hit the road. Because what I've learned is that face-to-face interactions, really, if I can get in front of the right people, has the best success rate. Typically, when I meet somebody in person and shake hands and explain who I am and what Infinium does, we get a couple of plan sets, that week so we can quote them. So really hitting the streets and leveraging ZoomInfo and even thinking outside of the box, like, getting more architects involved, maybe getting real estate companies involved, but those kind of, oh, and even, those developers that are building entire blocks, divisions. But that's really next level stuff that's little harder to kind of materialize and it takes a lot longer to materialize. But that's what you have to do nowadays to stay alive. So yeah.
Yeah. How big is your sales team? So when you have calls and stuff coming through, you handle them yourself, you bring in the channel partners, or do you pass them off on a sales team? What's that process like?
So new homes division, again, I've only been here for about 6 months, not even full 6 months to be honest. So two people in this division that really primarily focuses on new homes, but that's just the new homes division. There's about 10 salespeople total, including the two that I manage. And some of them already work with their own general contractors, and one guy only sells a service while he also sells new systems on the side. So, you know, not small, not big, where you're going to get treated like a number, but also not so small that, you don't have to worry about us going out of business in, anytime soon kind of thing.
Yeah, makes sense. I always like to ask this because we're in this really interesting time and in the marketplace where the AI is really moving into changing how businesses and workflow are altered and being adapted to it. So I'm curious for yourself and also for Infinium, what has been the adoption of AI in the office place? What's the places where you've seen it mostly used?
Frankly, that is a better question for probably my EVP or the marketing manager, Angelo or Ambrish. But as far as what I've seen here, I mean, we spend money on marketing, obviously, and we have project managers, coordinators, somebody that takes care of permitting, CAD design. But I'll be honest with you, Kreel, I don't think there's a lot of aspects of AI being incorporated with the business as of yet. We are a construction company and, you know, 18 years in business and things are just kind of scaling. Cause it's kind of like a hockey stick, right?
Yeah.
Last year was huge. And, this year we're just trying to maintain that momentum. So yeah, I don't think it's being used that much, to be honest with you.
Where do you think places that it could solve, like what bottlenecks or redundancies or things that you'd like to see in your either day-to-day workflow at the office where you think AI could maybe be helpful?
I mean, I suppose payment systems, and I just don't know about customer communications, but I suppose at a very high level, because a lot of customers are asking questions about equipment location that has to do with the jurisdictional setback and NEC guidelines and PG&E requirements or utility requirements in general. So I don't know if AIs can handle that kind of in-depth details yet, but I think high-level project management and maybe some build processing and things of that nature, I think we may be able to adopt something there.
Yeah, perfect.
Honestly, I'm not
Well,
sure.
yeah, since I speak to a lot of business owners at all levels, it's basically, instead, people want to grow their business at the end of the day. And now they have the option of, in the past, they were really thinking about like hiring new people on, like increasing headcount, where now you can actually just improve some old systems into new AI advanced systems, which allow the people that are working in your office just to be more productive, right? So you're able to scale without the headcount and actually do it in a faster way because you have like new systems, whether it be payment, customer education, AI receptionists, educating all the clients that have the same questions, all that stuff absolutely can be automated in a way that's really convenient for everybody involved. So yeah, some exciting things that I think would be beneficial, as you guys get more and more exposed to AI and where it can benefit into your office. As we move towards the end of the conversation here, do you want to share a little bit of like an insight where you feel like the entire industry is? You kind of alluded to this earlier that you felt like, hey, you feel like next year could be another big year in solar. Yeah, where do you think the industry is growing in the next few years?
Well, I what I've seen lately is literally companies trying to stay alive by doing anything and everything. Meaning, I've seen companies send out quotes where I know for a fact that they're going to lose money because I know what these materials cost because that's what I used to do. And a whole lot more than that. But and when I see a quote that literally barely or doesn't even cover the cost of materials and has no allocation for, margins, profits, overhead, labor, permitting, inspections, interconnection, none of that jazz. It literally makes me think, hey, we're in this final stretch of a period where a huge shakeout is happening right now, and it will be that way for the next few months. And companies like Infinium who kind of stand their ground and say, this is our price. This is where we make small bit of margin. And so we can be around to service your system and honor our warranties. Those are the companies that will be around ultimately, that are nimble enough, that can diversify with roofing, electrical, maybe even HVAC. So yeah, I think to be 100% honest with you, Kreel, I think it's just going to be a little more hard times for most of them. We're not experiencing as much of that here, to be perfectly honest, because of the expertise and 18 years of business, the referral network, and the GCs that are feeding us six-figure jobs. But yeah, I think it's just going to be hard times before, the light at the end of the tunnel for majority of the industry.
Very insightful. I would actually agree with you. I think it's also going to be combined with, my personal prediction would be that there'll be some economic challenges like in recession by the end of the year. I think where the stock market is, I think we're topped and now we need to reset. And, there's a bunch of lagging indicators and other countries have, come out and declared it where the states haven't yet. So I think there is a readjustment happening. And then I think that's going to be another shakeout, right? Of companies that, well, I think as Warren Buffett or some famous investor says, when the tide goes out, you see who's been swimming naked, right? And so you're seeing quotes of some of those companies that are just trying to hold on. And so I think you're right. Quarter 3 could probably be tough. And then a readjustment Q4, Q1 of next year, maybe the rates drop down, so there's accessibility to some cheaper money and we go through another cycle again. So I would agree with you, your insights there.
There's a huge misconception, Creel, in this industry for a majority of the homeowners. Not majority, but a lot of the homeowners. They think solar is just a waste of money and it has no ROI. But especially with the introduction of net energy metering 3 or NBT, net billing tariff, where, you get pennies on the kilowatt hours you export to the grid. But, realistically, homeowners are still seeing 5 to 7 year payback. And just looking at it purely objectively on the financial side of things as an investment vehicle, I mean, Yeah, sure, the stock market right now, you can probably, pick a stock on Nasdaq and get 10% return in less than, a few months because of the market, like you were saying, before it just completely crashes. But this is a solid investment. It really is. And that peace of mind where you have security system, lights, your fridge, internet when the power goes off from the grid. And that's another upside of doing all this. So, you know, if you own a house and you haven't done it, you should at least look into it because the 30% discount still exists.
I think you're very right. I think you're also in a very good location where you are in the Bay Area, where there is like it's high income, right? And so you're dealing with a lot of people with money. And I think one of the selling points is like, hey, the credits are going to go away, great, but now there is an energy security or an energy diversification conversation that wasn't there a few years ago. We all agree that probably energy prices are going to continue to go up. There's going to be scarcity. So if you can control that in your own home, so when the lights go out, you've got that security. If you're a type of person that has, flexible income and you're building homes, there's new homes, it makes 100% to like spend another 10% on top of what you're already spending to all of a sudden you have like a little fortress that can allow you to have sustainability and security in a way that's going to be very, very difficult to have any other way if the power goes out. So a very interesting conversation, Ji Song. I've really enjoyed it. For people that want to get a hold of you for future reference, or maybe they're interested in having a conversation around your work, maybe general contractors who might find this, where's the best place to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I would encourage them to just reach out directly to my work email, Jisang at infiniumsolar.com. And yeah, I will always respond in a timely manner. And yeah.
Ji Song, I really enjoyed having you on the podcast. So I want to thank you. I also want to make sure my audience for all of Ji Song's website and LinkedIn and all of those links, we'll put those in the show notes so that'll be easy to find for you. I want to thank you for being here. If you've enjoyed the conversation as much as I have, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, share it forward with somebody who might be in the Bay Area or San Jose area that is interested in getting on board with Ji Song and his value proposition. This wraps up another episode of Blue Ocean Solutions Podcast. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you, Ji Song.
Thank you, Kreel. Well, not too many solar contractors do it the right way, and that's just a fact. There's thousands of solar companies out there, but like I said earlier, 95% of them will tell you to get the house built and then will show up afterwards. They just don't have the executional excellence to deploy multiple project mobilizations and run internal wiring and review the single line. And another part, really, I would say is a lot of other solar contractors, if you actually look behind the curtain, is nothing more than 5 people behind computers. They subcontract everything out. We actually have our own installers, and we've been doing this for 18 years. But I think solar companies that can say that we've been around for over 18 years doing our own work is probably less than 2 to 5%. Solar companies come and go all the time, sadly.